What up, sweet gang? It's your girl Rochelle in the building, coming to bring you another great video. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to create my Mother's Day Cakesicles. And this is a very special day, so I want to wish all the ladies a very happy Mother's Day. Now, here are the supplies, and we're going to get started. I have a cutting board, and also I have these very unique acrylic mom cakesicle sticks. Also some Paramount crystals, MERCKENS chocolate, white MERCKENS chocolate, and some fondant. I'm also going to be using a new coloring, food coloring for my chocolate. I also have some panini molds and cutters, and I have this unique embossed stamp and cutter. I also have my paint palette, which I'm going to place my flowers in, rolling pin, piping bags, nice scraper, and I also have my spatula. So if you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, to let you know your girl Ro is on with another great video. Also, I want to remind you we need our cakesicle mold. So if you're ready, then let's get started and get right into the video. Here I have the filling that I'm going to use. I have some Oreo crumble, and I'm going to use 1 block of cream cheese to do a cream cheese Oreo crumble. Okay, now let's apply our cream cheese, adding the full block to the crumble. And if you need more crumble, don't be afraid to add more crumble to your bowl, which would be good for you or to your liking. So we're just going to take our spatula and begin to mix and combine all of this together until it becomes like soft dough. And here you see me adding more crumble to this mix. Okay, I want it to come like a dough-like consistency. So if you need to add more, go ahead and add more. That'll be fine. So I'm just going to mix this up until it all comes together to be able to apply to the inside of my cakesicles. Okay, so as you see here, it looks like a wet dough consistency. Just like if you were going to do cake dough, this is an Oreo cream filling that I created to go into cakesicles. So now I'm going to apply a 1/2 cup of powdered sugar. Okay, this is just to sweeten up the mixture, and I chose to add powdered sugar because it gives a little balance to the cream cheese as well as the Oreo taste. Now once you have all that combined and together, it's going to be soft and like a cake dough consistency, and you just want to roll it up and pat it up and get ready to add to your cakesicles. So now let's create our pieces. I'm using a satin ice fondant, and I'm going to begin to color these 2 pieces that I broke in half. So I'm going to use the new color mill, and this is the baby pink, which is amazing. And you're just going to add a small amount to the center of your fondant. Once you add that amount in, you just want to start to mend it and mix it and bring it all together for the desired piece you choose to use, whether it's a lot or whether it's minimum. And if you need to add more, you can add more, but with this particular design, I chose a lighter pink, and we're just going to mix it and mix it together. And you mix until all the color is gone, and then you're ready and you can set it to the side. And now we're going to go ahead and color our other fondant piece, which this is the yellow, and I'm just going to add a few little dots of the coloring here, and I want this to be a soft yellow as well. So we're just going to repeat the steps and do the same thing for this particular fondant piece. These pieces I am coloring to create our panini flowers. So now that we have both colors, we're going to go ahead and create our panini flowers. These flowers are very unique and easy to create. So what we're going to do is take each piece of fondant and begin to creating our flower pieces. Once I have created the flower piece, I'm going to use my color palette to help form the shape of the flower, just to give some definition and some little curve to your flower piece. Not too much, but just a little. So you want to make sure you roll out your fondant very nice and thin to create your pieces. Taking the color and press firmly down onto your fondant in the mat, and you want to shake it just back and forth just a little bit so you don't have any rough edges around your pieces. Now you're going to pull back the extra fondant, and once you have done that, I'm just cutting off some extra pieces. You want to take this little spatula, pick up your flower piece, and you see the little edges that I'm just patting into that piece here just to get rid of the rough edges. You want to place this and make sure it's centered, and then you're going to press firmly, not too hard, but just nice and firm until you create and define your flower. And voila, beautiful. Now you can color dust these with a darker pink just to bring out or define your flower, but just take it out gently and then place it right into your palette just so it can form or have a little curve to it. And that's as you see here. Now I'll go once again and just show you the technique, pushing those unwanted edges in, placing it in the center, and firmly press down to create those defined lines and to create this nice little panini. And this mold and cutter also will be in my description box below. And make sure you guys check up under the video. That is the description box, and that's where you will locate the links for the supplies that I am using in this video. And now I'm just doing the yellow, and what I'm going to do different here is add some pink to the yellow, and I'm going to thin out the pink with my rolling pin to give the two-tone look for my panini flowers. Yes, this is a great technique that you can do. Just make sure you roll it out thin enough so it won't be bulky, and just take your flower, press firmly, shake it back and forth to create your flower piece. And I am cutting right over the pink and the yellow so I can get a little bit of pink and a little bit of yellow. Now after you have cut out your piece and pull that extra fondant off, with the small panini piece, you can do the same as the large piece. Center it, make sure it's in position, and then press firmly, and there you have a two-tone panini. Be careful when you pull out your piece from your molding. It will be a little flexible, a little flimsy, but it will firm up once you let it sit and place it into your color palette or a little small aluminum foil bent up, whichever one you choose to do, just to form a bent shape of your flower. Now here we're going to create the mom stamp. This is a mom cutter emboss and cutter stamp, which I love these emboss stamps. This is very unique for any design. And here I'm just going to take the pink fondant and knead it together and make sure that it's smooth and it doesn't have any cracks in my fondant. And then I'm just gonna roll out a nice thick piece, not too thick, but a nice thick piece will define your signature piece here, and which is the mom. So you see how that is coming out really good. So if your fondant is too thin, it may go right through the fondant and you can see the other side. So you want to make sure you have some thickness to your fondant, you guys. Okay, so taking the cutter and going right align with the mom's stamp and just press firmly, shaking back and forth to cut out your piece. Press, shake a little bit and remove it, and then you can remove the extra fondant from around it, and there you have your mom stamps. Now let's get into melting our chocolate. I'm using MERCKENS chocolate, and this is some Paramount crystals. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of Paramount crystals to a 16-ounce bag of chocolate covered melts. This glass container that I'm using is a 2-cup container, which I always use to melt my chocolate. So I melted the first interval. You want to melt in 30-second intervals. So after the first interval, you want to take it out and just move around some of those stubborn chocolates, even though it hasn't melted completely. Just mix it around so it won't burn, and then go back in for another interval. All right, after the second interval, I'm going to repeat the process once again. And as you see me doing here, I'm just mixing around some of the stubborn chocolate. Sorry, you guys. Some of the chocolate, so it will prevent from sticking and burning to the glass container. So going back in. Now this is the third interval, and as you see, majority of the chocolate has melted. But I'm going to utilize the heat from the glass container and just mix into the rest of those other melts have melted down. Okay, so this will prevent from you overheating your chocolate. So it's very important that you follow this process, and I hope that it helps and works for you. But this is my technique on melting chocolate candy melts. All right, and once again, this is MERCKENS chocolate melts white that I am using. So here we have the famous, brand new to the market, Color Mill. This is a baby pink, and I'm going to add a few drops, about 3 to 4 drops. And here I have 5 drops, and I want a soft pink. So I'm going to mix this until I get that soft pink look. Now you can add more to your liking, but I'm looking for a softer pink for this particular design. Now I added a few more drops so that I can get that soft pink look. And as you see here, it's coming together, and just mix it until you don't see any streaks. And as you see, the consistency does not change and it's still smooth. Now here, taking out your mold, you want to begin to layer your chocolate to your cavity piece. Now apply a small amount of chocolate to each cavity. Once you have applied the chocolate to each cavity, you want to take your mold and begin to maneuver that chocolate around the cavity. So what you're doing is lining the cavity mold with chocolate. If some spill out, don't worry, wipe it off. Also, you can take extra popsicle stick and you can also apply the chocolate around the cavity, around the inside of the cavity as well. Okay, make sure you get all those corners covered with your chocolate. Now that is all lined up, now it's time to insert my Cakesicle sticks. These are the acrylic mom sticks that I'm using. So when you have these particular sticks, you want to flip over the design so that it can be on the right side after the Cakesicles has processed. You don't want your sticks to be backwards. So make sure you flip them downward and insert. And with this particular mold, there is a slant cut right at the bottom. So I'll be able to take these particular sticks out. So before you put them in the freezer, you're gonna put them in the freezer, and I'm putting this on a small cutting board. And you want it to be in the freezer for about 5 or 10 minutes. Now once it has froze and got solid, after 5 or 10 minutes, you're gonna remove it from the freezer. You're gonna wiggle your sticks just a little bit to release them. And as you see here, it may crack a little bit. Don't worry about that. We're going to add more chocolate to the inside to secure the coating of your Cakesicle. And this is where a lot of people have a lot of problems when doing these Cakesicles. They either crack at the bottom or is not enough chocolate on the side. So what you want to do is take some extra chocolate, not too much, and an extra wooden Cakesicle stick, and just begin to apply some extra chocolate around the sides of your cavity mold, and just make sure that you have enough going around the whole inside of this Cakesicle. This will secure the sides as well as the bottom. Now you can go back over it 1 or 2 times. It's totally up to you, but you don't want to add too much where it's too thick for someone to bite into. So just putting nice thin layers around, doing the whole mold, each cavity. And even if you got chocolate on the outside, don't worry. We'll take care of all of that after the whole Cakesicle is completed. Just be sure to get some chocolate at the bottom of your Cakesicle so that it won't crack. All right, that's an important technique that you need to be sure to apply when you do these Cakesicles. All right. So now it's going to go back in the freezer, or just from the coldness of your Cakesicles, sometimes your chocolate will go ahead and solidify. But if you need to pop it back in the freezer, you can pop it back in the freezer for another 5 minutes. So as you see, I'm making sure I'm securing the bottom of the Cakesicle so they don't crack by adding some more chocolate to the bottom of the Cakesicle. All right. So now I'm going to measure in my Oreo dough here, and I'm going to apply it and line it right on the inside, just enough to cover the whole Cakesicle. And once you pat it in, you want to take your CAKESICLE stick and firmly press it or force it in. And you want to make sure the end of your CAKESICLE stick is on the flat part of that CAKESICLE mold surface. It's that little lip that's sticking out from the mold. So you want to make sure your stick is sitting on that. And make sure each CAKESICLE is lined the same way. All right. And once again, just hold and firmly press in. There is other ways to create these CAKESICLEs, and I will create a video showing you how at a later time. So now that I have my Oreo dough in, I'm just going to take a thin layer of chocolate and apply it to the back of this mold. Okay. And then you're just going to take an extra CAKESICLE stick and spread your chocolate evenly as you can on your mold. And you want to make sure that all your corners are covered and evenly spreaded. If it looks bumpy on the back, don't worry about it unless you're letting them stand up in some event, but this is fine, and it's going to go in the freezer for at least 10 to 15 minutes. So now I'm going to take my extra chocolate that I have left over and darken the color to create those lines on top of the CAKESICLEs. Now here, I'm just adding a few more extra drops to the chocolate just to darken the pink. Now, if your chocolate tends to get thick, just put it back in the microwave for at least 10 to 15 seconds. And as you see here, I darkened the chocolate a little bit more, and I'm going to do the same with the yellow. I want this to be a little bit more darker to create my yellow lines on top of my CAKESICLE. So as you see, as I am applying more color with this new Color Mill is the name, and I will leave the link in the description box below. It does not change the consistency, but remember, if your chocolate has been out for some time and it begins to solidify, just pop it back in the microwave for at least 10 to 15 seconds. Make sure you don't overheat it when you do this process. Okay, and it is nice and yellow, and the consistency has not changed. All right, so now that our CAKESICLEs has been in the freezer for 10 to 15 minutes, and like I said, don't worry about the back. So what you want to do is separate and spread out that mold. And here I have a little cut, as I mentioned in the video earlier in the video, that with these particular CAKESICLEs, I'm using a acrylic design CAKESICLE stick. So with the regular sticks, you can just pop them out because you have a straight stick. But because I have a design at the end of this stick, you want to make a cut right at the bottom of that CAKESICLE mold to release and remove your CAKESICLEs with your designer stick. All right. So remember the little extra chocolate that was over the cavity mold. Taking your scraper, you can just scrape off that extra chocolate, or you can also break some of it off just to get that extra off the sides as well. All right. And she'll be all new again. Showing you again, just clearing up the sides, scraping that off. Make sure you don't tear up your chocolate, but you're just gonna break it off and just scrape off the little extra, and it will be like new. Now make sure you check the bottom of your cakesicle that it's nice and coated and that it doesn't have too many cracks. And here you have your cakesicles. All right. So you guys, if you do have small cracks at the bottom of your cakesicle, don't worry. As long as it's fully coated and you cannot see the cake dough or cookie dough or whatever dough you choose to apply to your cakesicles, as long as it's coated well with chocolate, you're fine. All right. So what I'm doing here is doing a pre-drizzle first before I drizzle onto my cakesicle. So as you see here, I'm adding my pink, and then I'm going to add the yellow, creating the swirl design. So pre-drizzle first before you drizzle onto your cakesicle, okay? And just drizzle going into a swirl motion, a circular motion, and then come to your cakesicle and create that design as close as you possibly can. Now this particular design does take practice, so you guys practice as much as you can on some parchment paper before you bring it over to your cakesicles. So all I did was a little swirl and then did a line across with the pink, and I did the same with the yellow. And now I'm going to apply my mom stamp fondant piece, and then I'm going to take a small amount of chocolate and add it to the cakesicle, and then apply my panini flowers. Now once you apply your flour to your cakesicle, just hold it until it solidifies. Then I'm going to add a small amount of chocolate in the center to apply my smaller panini to the center of this flour. So what I did was add the multicolored panini and just applied it to the center. And I'm just going to take a small amount of chocolate and place it in the center just for some extra decoration. And there you have your mom or your Mother's Day cakesicle. So once again, I'm just going to do this technique over so you guys can see the formation. And I hope you have enjoyed this particular video thus far on creating a Mother's Day treat. And also, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and those that have been mothers to many on this special day. Alright you guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video as much as I have enjoyed creating this particular dessert. And if you are new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to let you know your girl Ro is on with another great video. Leave a comment in the comment section below letting me know how you enjoyed this video or giving other ideas that you want to see me create. And thank you for joining and enjoy your day.